All right, all right, all right. Welcome. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for giving the channel a try. If you're a returning subscriber, much love and thank you for continuing to show the channel some activity. Hey nephew, glad you got the notification. Tonight I was gonna go live on the Rush trial and discuss some of that. But you know what? I got to thinking. There's too much on my mind to go into that true crime stuff. Um, I'm going to keep it real tonight. I'm not really going to need a disclaimer about, this is my opinion. All things are alleged because it is my opinion. But I want you to know that I'm a professional at this. So anything I have to say on addiction, it has been proven over the 20 years that I've been doing this. First of all, I need to change this because it's going to make me dizzy. I need to just go with a standard. The title says the nation is failing, Drug Inc. Youth are falling, addiction is rampant, and the schools are war zones. The reason that I chose that title was because people aren't just using the casual drugs anymore that were used in the past. And I know that every generation just stretches the envelope a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But what ends up happening is people become addicted. They become addicted to substances they can't just get rid of. Many people say, I'll just stop, I'll just quit, I'll quit using, but they just can't stop. And I want to talk about something tonight that, a lot of times isn't really discussed. I want to talk about the lifestyle. I want to talk about the lifestyle of someone who is in that realm of addictive process. I don't want to talk like a clinician. I don't want to talk like a bookworm. I don't want to talk about like that at all. I just want to be me tonight. So if you don't really like it, it's not like I have very many people that come over here and view anyway. So I'm just doing it for myself and the people that do enjoy it. Instead of getting on other channels tonight and hearing all the gory details about the affidavit that I was going to share with you guys on just Kansas women that went missing and they found their bodies. Hey, Arctic Fox, thank you for being here. I decided to change the pace because you know what? I want to talk about the living, not the dead. I want to talk about people that are actually struggling, not focus on the missing just for one night. Because that's what we do. We get so enthralled on following people that we can't save because they're either deceased or they're missing. And either way, we focus on the negativity of everything that surrounds them instead of the people that are right there staring us in the face. I don't know if you have children. I don't know if you have juveniles. I don't know if you have grandkids. I don't know if you have nieces and nephews or just friends of that have children that are struggling. But you know what? The struggle is real in these schools. There's shootings on a daily in some of the inner cities are more than the smaller towns, but doesn't mean the small towns aren't going to catch up. It just hasn't gotten to that point yet. And it's sad. It's sad that individuals have gotten to the point where they feel that they need to carry a gun in order to be safe in our society. I don't want to make this political. I don't want to make this about guns or not owning guns. I want to talk about the reality of stepping into a high school today and having to worry about getting jumped in the bathroom, getting your stuff stolen, you know, um, things of that nature, yes, exactly. They've been found. Arrests have been made. Stop the 6 hour lives about them and let them rest in peace and let the families grieve without being in their face 24/7. You're right. I agree with that. That's why I changed it. That's why I changed it at the last minute because I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those people. The families are dealing with enough. They've been dealing for 2 weeks, not knowing what happened. Now they've finally found out what happened. Let them rest in peace. You're right. But getting back to what I was saying about the high school of today being a war zone, and you say, well, that's not really a problem, 12 gauge. That's not my problem. I don't have any kids. I don't have any school age kids. Well, let me tell you how it is your problem. You might not know a school age kid, but your taxes pay for that high school. Your taxes pay for everything that goes on in your city. If you think you're not affected by the violence that goes on, by the drug addiction, by everything that happens, you're living with your head in the sand because you are affected. You know, if you're not affected by high school, you're affected by any public building that you go to, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a library, whether it be a concert, whether it be whatever, you're affected. There's active shooters everywhere. And I'm not trying to be negative, but you know what? We need to focus on the things that affect the living more than we focus on the things that affect the dead or the missing, if only for one day. You know, put your focus and your energy that you have on this platform and put it to use on something that's valuable, that's going to bring life into the world instead of just focusing on the deadness that you see all the time. Are you that miserable in your life that you need negativity 24/7 to fuel your own addiction? I mean, that's just my perspective. That's just my perspective. I mean, there's kids out here that go to school, they don't eat breakfast, they don't eat lunch, they don't eat dinner. They go to school with dirty clothes and nobody cares because the kids are the problem. That's what I hear. The kids are the problem. They don't want to listen, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. All they want to do is be on their video games. Well, guess what? There's a reason why they're on their video games. Because there's no other attention in the home. When's the last time you talked to your child or your nephew or your niece or your cousins or your grandkids? When's the last time an adult actually took interest in one of these individuals about what's going on in their lives without lecturing them about how it used to be in your day? That's a different time. There's different avenues that they deal with that you might not even understand, but you could be the ear for them to sound off to so they don't feel like they're so alone. And then they can't even get medical care because of how broken our healthcare system is. Yes, exactly. You know, getting back to that, I deal with people sneaking vapes into the high schools, getting high in the bathrooms, running around impaired on substances. Let's say your kid is a good kid and your kid doesn't get high, but your kid is around somebody who is getting high or under the influence. And let's say this kid decides to bring a weapon to school and is not thinking clearly. Do you think that this impaired kid is going to deal rationally with circumstances that are going on in their lives? If they get pushed and today is the day, then guess what? The war zone commences because, in their mind, Everything has a reset button, just like Call of Duty, just like all the war games that they've ever played. You die, for their in their mindset, they think they have a reset button and they can come back to life. That is not real. But let me tell you, there's been countless kids that have been killed that didn't have a reset button. There's been people at shopping malls that have been killed that don't have a reset button. There's people that have been killed at restaurants, coffee houses, all over this world that don't have that reset button. And they say, well, drugs aren't the problem, guns are the problem, it's not our mental health. Well, there's a lot of kids that feel mentally unaccepted in this society. They're taking their own lives because they don't have an outlet where anybody will listen, where anybody will take them seriously. So they have to create disclaimers and labels to fit in anymore. They're jumping all over the place because they feel that they don't have a place to go to belong. Maybe they don't have a mom. Maybe they don't have a dad. Maybe their parents are in prison and they're being raised by a grandma, by a grandfather who already raised kids in a different generation who don't know how to how to even relate to the kids of today's generation. So they try the old school ways, and the old school way don't work anymore. Not unless you tweak it a little bit. No pun intended. But if you turn it a little bit, you can be an active parent, no matter what your title is. Even if you don't have children, you can be an active parent by listening, by being someone who guides without prejudice, without unrealistic expectations, without constant barrage of nagging. Don't treat your child like they're your best friend. I told a child earlier, I said, I'm not your friend. I'm an individual, I'm a professional in your way, stressing the importance of doing something different. I'm not your friend. And if that makes you angry and makes you shut down, then that's on you. That's not on me. What the school would actually do something about the bullying, it would be a start instead of punishing the kid big. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying that everything's perfect in the school as well. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, but you know what? There's a lot of times the kids are being bullied that they don't even feel safe enough to tell anybody they're being bullied. They stuff it down and they go in and out of school every day, praying that they make it out of that 8 hours without having to be made fun of, to be embarrassed, to be picked on, to be cyberbullied, made fun of with pictures and drawings and whatever. But like I was saying, kids bring these cartridges to school. They get high in the bathroom. They get high in the hallways. They get high in their lockers or wherever they want to get high. And then you try to redirect a kid that's under the influence, they're not going to just say, okay, I'll listen to you. No, you're going to get resilience. Hey, Kimber, how's it going? It's detrimental. It's detrimental to our society to take a light stance on addiction. They say, well, I've tried everything and my kids just don't listen. They don't listen to me. They talk back. They do this, that, and the other. In my position, I don't have a position of authority right now. I'm a therapist. So I don't have that authority figure where if they wanted to talk back to me, they could. I just know how to deflect that talking back. without being aggressive. And that's something that is needed in today's parenting. And that's one of the things that I put up here. You can't be an aggressive parent expecting a positive result if that's all you do. If you never give positive reinforcements, if you don't give praise for the things that are being done correctly, how is somebody ever going to want? And I'm saying somebody, not just kids, that's people in general. How is somebody going to want to keep doing and going forward if there's no positive reinforcement behind it? If all you hear is all the negative things you do wrong, and somebody never tells you, "Hey, you did a great job doing this, that, or the other," hey, it's going to pump you up and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that." Then I'm going to add to it just a little bit at a time. Exactly. And I believe a lot of the schools that we have today have become prisons. Look at how we lock them down. Look at how we don't allow them to talk while they're in the hallways, while they can't talk in the cafeterias, while they can't talk in the classrooms. They can't do this, that, and the other, just like a prison. If you've ever worked in a prison, it is exactly. The only difference is there's no barbed wire yet outside these schools. But you can't freely leave. You can't go and get something to eat delivered to you. You can't have people come and eat lunch with you, your parents or your relatives or anything like that. No, you're isolated from the world for 8 hours. The only people that you're around are people that are either going to treat you with dignity or they're going to treat you with disrespect. So if you're around somebody that's constantly on you, somebody that's constantly nagging you or don't like you because of something they heard about you and you're a child, your life is hell. You're being bullied by the teacher who is in turn giving the other students permission to bully you as well. It's an endless cycle. And I don't know if there's one thing that we could do to make it stop initially. I'm sure that in time, if we take a stance, things can change. But it has to be people who have the voice to stand up to these authorities and say, hey, you're not going to talk to my kid like that. Homeschooling is not the answer, not for everybody, because then you've isolated your child from the rest of the world. No social skills, no social interaction. So whenever they're amongst a crowd, they have social anxiety. They have anxiety. They don't know how to relate to people. They they don't feel a part of, they feel more apart from. So as a therapist, when somebody feels not a part of something, guess what? They go looking for a counterculture to feel like they belong. And guess what that counterculture is? Addicts, gangs, negative criminals, all these things. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, but I wanted to talk about something different that really matters. And if it doesn't matter to you, that's fine. But it matters to me because I see it on a daily. I see these kids' faces. When they come into the probation office, it's almost like we're the only people in their lives that give them hope. But we can't parent them. We can't be with them 24/7, keeping them built up on what parents tear down because they don't understand the concept of rewards versus consequences or even just listening to somebody. You don't have to agree with it. Just like on here, guess what happens? Adults don't like what they hear. They start making fun of people by their parent. They start calling them names. They start bullying them in these chat rooms. They start doing everything that I bet their children do or are allowed to do to other kids. And you can call me a liar, and that's fine. But I I have seen it. Hey, Clue, I've seen it. I've seen it done. I've seen it presented. I've seen it. And people are like, well, you know what? It's not my problem. My kid's one of the good kids. There's no such thing. Just because your kid doesn't bully another kid, just because your kid is not a drug addict, just because your kid doesn't cause trouble, your kid could be depressed because he gets no attention at home. Your kid could have social phobias because he or she doesn't know how to interact with others. You have to stop putting your kid in a block and actually listen to what they got to say. Listen to what's going on. When they get home from school, hey, instead of you letting them go hide out in their room and letting them go from one prison to another cell, step in there and say, hey, come on here, talk to me. They might not want to, but you know what? You have to be smarter. You are the leader of the family. You're the adult. You can't just say, oh, my kid doesn't want to talk to me. Okay, I'll just leave them alone. Because you know what? That's what they want. But they don't really want that. They want you to pull it out of them. Some of them are dying with emotions in their heads and their hearts. And they're just looking for a way for somebody to bring it out. And as a parent, as a stranger, you don't know whose life you could impact just by being a caring soul and not having to be the know-it-all, not having to be the one that has all the right answers. Because you know what? I talk to kids all the time and I don't always know what's hip in today's, see that word right there, hip? I know damn well that word not a good slang word for 2024. But you know what? I still listen and I try to find out what the Riz is and what no cap is all about and things like that. I try to listen to find out what those words mean so that even though I'm not going to use them because I'm not 15 or 14 or 16, I can listen to when other people that I care about are using these words and really understand whether they're really communicating with somebody in a healthy way or they're communicating in somebody in a cry for help. Because I can tell you there's a lot of juveniles out here in these schools that are addicted to chemicals that you would not believe. And you say, how's that matter to me? Well, it would matter to you if you own a business around the block and those kids come in your business with guns drawn because they're under the influence and they want all your money. Damn right it would be your business then. Or you're at the stoplight and you drive a nice car because you're older and you can afford it and they want your car and they're gonna pop out with guns drawn and carjack you. Yeah, it's gonna matter to you then. So let's try to get out of that mentality. Let's try to get out of that mentality that I don't have kids or this doesn't matter to me because we are all affected by somebody else's choices. In a blink of an eye, we could be the next two women that went missing with gunshot wounds to their head, buried somewhere. Or we could have a missing kid that nobody on the planet knows what happened to them, but everybody has speculation. You know, we could be that person. Or we could have a situation like what I presented the other day, and that's one of the reasons I presented that case is because I wanted to highlight not how all juveniles act, but you know what? There's a large amount of followers that love to do chemicals, that love to get high, that love to drink unresponsibly. And before you know it, one of them ends up dead with a stab wound. And you say, well, say what you want to say about that case. But you know what? Two wrongs don't make a right. And in the end, one kid did not go home. 4 adults went to the hospital, and one lost the rest of his life because our belief system is warped. Our belief system says, you know what? Everybody smokes weed. And I'm not trying to offend you if that's your thing and you're one of my subs. I'm not trying to offend you. If that's your thing, let it be your thing. Because you know what? It's not illegal everywhere. I'm just saying that, people's beliefs let them, their belief system dictates their choices on a daily basis most of the time. And, all of us as adults, we can be leaders in our communities if we choose to do so. We can be leaders instead of people standing on the sideline cheering for other people to do the deal. One thing that pisses me off today, and I'm kind of agitated today. You know, I've seen everywhere that this one YouTuber broke the case of the missing Kansas women. A YouTuber broke the case, and she was the one that got everything solved, and everything is the narrative that a lot of people are pushing. She didn't break the case. She just happened to be one of the ones that was on camera in the area that got highlighted by a local news station. And she's been presenting this as if she's the one that broke the case, that found the women and found the clues and put everything together. And she was the one. That's the bullshit we deal with here on YouTube. People looking to make a name for themselves rather than being real and being who they are. She didn't break the case. OSBI broke the case. FBI broke the case. Local law enforcement broke the case. Those are the people that broke the case. Those are the people that arrested the 4. This YouTuber didn't put those 4 people in handcuffs. She wasn't out there saying you're under arrest by the laws of YouTube. Me and my followers or my team arrest you. This is a citizen's arrest. No, she basically just did a boots on the ground, just like JLR does, and just like some of the others. Hey, you know what? If they want to come at me, come at me. I ain't got shit on here for you to attack other than my looks or the way I talk or whatever. And if that's what you want, so be it. I don't care. This world is messed up. We are focused on the things that we should not be focused on, while the other things that we should have our focus and our minds and trying to change are just being swept under the carpet. You know what? That missing kid that's missing right now, how many times was he bullied? How many times? Possibly could that person have been bullied? Maybe at home, maybe at the school, maybe there was people that just could have stepped up and kept this from happening. But it's none of our business. That's what we want to say. It's none of our business. I need to stay in my lane. It's not my business to get in your business. Well, you know what? When you can make a change, yes, it is your business. Yes, we are. Clue. And like, this is my channel, so my opinions and my beliefs are my own. If you don't believe in them, that's fine. Keep coming back. There'll be more. I've been silent for a long time. I've been trying to do the right thing, I guess, on here. And I figured the right thing was to be correct and not be myself and try to give insight in a knowledgeable way. But nobody wants that shit. So you know what? The reality is you need to get off your ass and do something different to change this world. Otherwise, we're all going to suffer. You know? And I know that a lot of you are doing that. I know a lot of you are doing that. I'm not saying that nobody's doing that. I'm saying a lot of you are doing that. You do that every day when you're a parent and you're active in your child's life. And you make sure you know who your child's hanging with and you know who and what you've taught your child. And your child comes home every night and your child is not having to feel not wanted, supposedly, and they walk out the door and never to be seen again, no matter how it happened. Yeah, if people say stuff, but no, they say it's none of my business. I'm going to stay in my lane. And then the person goes missing, whether it be an adult, whether it be a child, whether it be a dog, whether it be a cat. Then all of a sudden they got a lot to say. Then they're the one on the hot mic. I like that saying, by the way, Clue. I'm going to steal it. Then they're on the way, they're on the hot mic, they're on that hot mic and they got countless things to say. Yes, I give everyone props for searching. Yes, I'm not taking away what people are doing positively. You know, I'm just saying that at a certain point when you don't have anything else to talk about, continue your quest in different directions. You ain't about hitting a dude. Okay, I'll borrow it then. I'm not going to steal it. I heard it on your show earlier. I heard that hot mic on Cluminati's show earlier. She was taking phone calls and she said hot mic. So, I'm not worried about getting hit by a woman, but, I like that hot mic. Yeah. Well, my mic is hot right now. Okay. I'm going to turn it around. So, I just urge you guys, just like everything I say in my therapy sessions, in my classes, in my speeches and things of that nature, everything is just suggestive. It's suggestive because nobody's going to want to do anything unless they feel the motivation to do something. And just like I was talking about yesterday, it takes small steps. This addiction in the schools, this shootings in the schools, this the kids feeling captive in these schools, these kids going to the rooms and hiding out when they're not at school or not wanting to go to school. So you tell me, if your kid doesn't want to go to school more than 2 or 3 days in a row, there's a reason. But nobody's asking because you're so scared of getting a truancy charge, you force them to go to school. And what are they trying to stay away from? You get what I'm saying? Hey, Jeff. I wanted to jump on my grandstand tonight and get my mic nice and hot, like my brain is, and spit some bars so that possibly somebody would take into account what I'm saying and maybe want to continue what I suggest, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a perfect parent. You don't have to be a perfect grandparent. You don't have to be a perfect brother, sister, cousin, aunt, anything. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. Just be involved. Some of the things you can do that if your kids are getting bullied, you know what? There's plenty to do. Spit some bars, yes. Flowing the word. That's what bars are, like when you're rapping. So, your kid's getting bullied. Go up to that school until they know you on a first name basis. Don't succumb to the problem. And if it doesn't work with the principal, climb the ranks. Climb the ranks. Go up to the superintendent. Keep making noise until you're heard, until your situation is resolved. Talk to the local LE. Make a report, even if nothing is done about it. Because if your son or daughter ends up handling it on their own and the bullying kids, parents want to file charges all of a sudden because they felt like their kid was wronged, you're going to have a paper trail to pull out that's going to be bigger and longer. And chances are your kid's not going to have to face any charges. Because you gotta start somewhere. You can't just sit back and say, well, I don't know what to do. They won't listen to me. They will listen to you. Or they'll start to listen once you don't give up with what it is that your objective is. Is that a better clue? See, I was going to use this one on my other live that I'm going tomorrow, but I'm going to go ahead and premiere it on the Dusty Plains. Anyways, if your kid is facing addiction problems, and whether your view is weed is not a drug, it's not a big deal. If it's legal in your state, I can't make a stand on it, but it's not legal in mine. So one thing for certain is weed is a felony. Possession of weed pens or things of that nature is a felony. But kids aren't just doing weed; they're doing fentanyl, they're doing meth, they're doing coke. They're experimenting with everything under the sun. And you're telling me that we're creating a nation of drug addicts because everything is going great in their lives? They don't have anything better to do? They're wanting to escape for a reason. You may or may not believe that, but as a therapist, I've seen too many drug addicts in front of me to know that it's just not a choice, a bad choice that they make. You know how anger is a silent killer? Anger is a silent killer. And what the best way to keep your anger down? Do a depressant, drink, do weed, whatever. Something that's a downer. For most people, that does it. But like what I was saying earlier at the very beginning, you may start using this as a coping mechanism, but for some young adults, it gets out of hand. It gets out of hand and it becomes an addiction. I'm dealing with young adults that are on probation where they can't be using drugs or drinking, but they're still doing it. If it's not a problem for you, you'd be able to quit for 3 months, for 6 months, to be off probation. But they can't because it's become an addiction by this point. Their tolerance is up. And you say that's not a problem. How is that not a problem? How is that not a problem? When you got these same people carrying guns in your school. Well, you don't have to make it cool. You need to make it educational, where it's a choice that they want to make for themselves based on your knowledge, not based on your understanding. That's where some people they get it the misconception twisted. It's not about your experience, it's about their understanding, you know? Take them to church. But really, it's about the person that you're trying to get the information across to. It has to be their choice. You may have to lose your kid to an addictive overdose, and then you'll really understand. Hey, I should have tried harder. I shouldn't have just taken the easy way out. Or watch your kid grow up in rehab after rehab after rehab after rehab after rehab, jail, prison, halfway houses, alternative treatments. And then one day they get it and they're 45 years old and they have nothing and they're still living in the same room they had when they were 10 years old, borrowing your car, trying to get their life started at 45. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not play hating, okay? I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that for some people, they don't see that far down the line. They don't understand that these substances can stunt their lives and cause some consequences that they may or may not want to face. But I always heard a statement when I was in my addiction and always shrugged it off. Actually, I heard two. I'm going to share them with you. One would just pray. Just pray. Everything will be better. Well, you know what? I couldn't pray because at that point, I didn't have a God of my understanding, and I was mad as hell at my own father. So how could I ever have an understanding of a father that was going to love me unconditionally? It wasn't until later on in my sobriety that I understood what that meant. But at that point, just pray wasn't good enough for me because it was something that I viewed that would not work for me. And the other is, at one point you're going to listen to somebody. You're going to listen to somebody. One day you're going to listen to somebody. You know what that means? It means that at one point in life, if you keep doing what you're doing, there's going to be a guard with some keys or a code or something that's going to be telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Or hell, there might be a group of inmates that are running your life. You just never know. You're going to listen to somebody eventually. You know? So I think I've covered a lot of it, but I could just go on for hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to torture you like that. I just wanted to get on here and kind of unload on the emotional attachment that I had to this today and kind of spread the awareness that if you really haven't thought of this or you don't think it's that big of a problem, that you might try to make a difference however you can, even if it's your platform, even if you just talk about it. Even if somebody, is going through something, you know what? If it's bad enough, call 911. If you need somebody to listen, I don't want to take on that responsibility for a million people, but you know what? There's plenty of therapists out there. If you need some kind of guidance, you can email me. I don't do therapy for free, so don't get it twisted. This right here is for free, so it's not like trying to link you up to get you hooked so that I can charge you later on. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that, we all need a helping hand sometimes, and sometimes we're too close to the forest for the trees, and we can't see any way out, and we're frustrated, and we're angry, and we're lost. I know in the state of Texas, there's a star 211 to get resources. I don't know if other states have like a star number that or a pound number, pound 211 here. I don't know if other states have a pound number where you can get resources if you need them. Um, the schools need to go back to getting a DARE program. They need to go back to, having speakers come in and tell them about, you know, life lessons. We're having a speaker come speak to us in a couple weeks, you know. But to be real as well, you have to remember what it was like at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, even 18 years old, to have somebody in an assembly talking to you about their old ass life and how they messed up their life and this and that and the other. And you're sitting there thinking, what a loser. There's no way I'm going to be like that guy. As they go on break to the bathroom and go, what a dumbass. How could he let his life get so bad? See, I'm not holding it long enough. You can tell you I'm not a weed smoker or ever was. Get what I'm saying? So maybe your strengths, hopes, and experiences won't work for somebody, but you can tell them that you're there when they're ready to talk. They'll come. They'll come and want to talk. Don't use jail. Don't use death. None of that. Because at that age, they're invincible. I guess if I was smoking weed when I was younger, it would have been like, yeah, that's how cool I would have looked right there. Yeah. You know? Yep, you're so right. But just being the ear sometimes is enough. I used to run groups and I'd ask one question. And I'd have a group of 8 kids, and you'd be shocked what all they tell you, what all they want to know how to change. If you just sit there and listen. If you just sit there and listen. We need to quit the fear mongering, you know? We know that if you drink too much, you get in the car and you drive, there's a chance you could drink and drive and kill yourself or kill somebody, or you live through it and have to face the consequence, all this, that, and the other. But when you're drunk, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about how good that liquor feels, how warm you feel inside, and how different you feel from everybody else, and how confident you are, and this, that, and the other. Hell, we got creators that get drunk before they do a live. It's funny as hell to me, but some of the stuff that comes out of their mouth is more real than the sober ones that I hear. And I'm not talking about you, Clue. I'm talking about another one. I don't know that you're drunk when you do it anymore, but anybody that drinks or whenever they do a live, I mean, some of the stuff is more genuine than when somebody's sober, because there's no filter there. And I respect that. I'm not condemning drinking. I'm not condemning using drugs if that's your thing and you're an adult. But you know what? If you're a juvenile or a youth, I do condemn it because it's part of the problem, not the solution. And we all know that. Come on with it. You won't be the first or the last, I'm sure. But I really appreciate you guys being in the chat, being good sports with hearing me out while I'm ranting and raving and cussing and everything else that you normally don't hear from me. But I hope somebody hears this and wises up and wants to do something different. Because after a while, missing people, especially after they've been missing more than 72 hours, chances are it's gonna go into a cold case unless somebody really comes in and start taking the lead and getting valuable evidence that they can use and put the pieces together. Otherwise, it's gonna go cold. All I gotta do is feed her some fish, bro. She's gone. That's it. She's out of there. Feed her some fish sticks. That's it. A win for 12 gauge. The deuces, you know what I mean? But anyway, I did not. I did not call you a drunk. I did not call you a drunk. I really appreciate you and Cletus being a supportive factor for my platform. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you so much. We all like to joke and fun. I didn't call you a drunk though. This other guy really, he drinks early in the morning and it gets very belligerent sometimes, and he even passes out on camera sometimes. It's funny to watch, but he's an honest person, he spits it out there. He spit them bars, you know. But guys, like I was saying, if you've listened this far, those of you that are going to hear this on replay, thank you so much for hanging around this far. I probably will do a second part of this eventually because I really want to get into more solutions. I brought out the problems. I'm not one of those type of people that just sit here and spits bars on the problem. I want to talk about the solution because that's what I'm about is putting solution out there, Those of you in chat, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your comments. New people that I see in here, Kimber, Jeff, Clue. I mean, y'all aren't new, but I appreciate y'all being in here. Sarge, Arctic. I appreciate y'all for being here. I hope you enjoyed my bars that I just spitted. And if you don't know the slang, just listen to TikTok. You'll hear a lot of slang. So thank you too, nephew. Can I get a number one if what I've been saying is real and to the point? Let these folks know that I'm just not perpetrating a lie. No cap. No cap. Can you give me a no cap? There you go. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna head to the gym with my nephew. Continue this fitness journey. You guys be safe out there. To mean that you're thinking about it. You're on the fence. So if I listen to your show, Clue, tomorrow, and you're talking about spitting bars, I'm gonna start using that hot mic and call in and get on that hot mic. No, I can't because I'll be at work, but it would be fun to call in. Sarge got some word to say this morning. But you guys have a wonderful night. You know what time it is. Maestro, hit the music.